In this video, we're going to go over a tip in regards to gutter cleaning, and that's a rule of thumb that I like to give to new customers or either people that we've helped for the first time clean their gutters, or oftentimes this is someone that maybe just moved into their house. Oftentimes, maybe this is a home that was built 10 or 20 years ago. The point is it's not a new home. The person moved into the home. When they moved into the home, they oftentimes, almost every time, inherited a lot of debris from the prior person, because the prior person that moved out of the home and sold it, or maybe it was a rental in the worst case scenario, because the rentals are oftentimes kind of neglected. Usually if it's a rental or if it's, regardless, if it's changing hands, typically the person that's departing that residence is not going to upkeep the home to the degree that they would benefit from if they were to live in that home for 5 or 10 or 20 more years, like the person that's buying the home, right? So with that train of thought, oftentimes the person that's leaving the house leaves the gutters dirty. They neglected it, and now the new person inherited that problem. So there's tons of dirty gutters. That's oftentimes the case. And the rule of thumb that I like to give to people that we clean for the first time, especially in the case of they bought a home that was prior a rental, or they bought a home that was even not a rental, but it was owned by someone prior, especially if it's someone senior. These are all kind of cases where they're just neglecting the maintenance is the whole point, okay? So what I like to recommend is, it's hard for us in that case to kind of give an honest recommendation as to frequency. We can use context clues and be like, oh, okay, there's a giant tree by your house. You should probably be doing this every year, because that tree is going to drop leaves, and therefore that gutter's going to get clogged every year. There's a good likelihood of that, okay? But what homeowners, they appreciate the fact that typically the recommendation I give in any of these situations, a first time cleaning for a customer, or especially in the case where that person just moved into the house, we recommend clean again in 12 months, because that's going to be the best way for us to factually verify everything got very thoroughly cleaned today, but after 12 months, that's a full cycle of the trees growing leaves and falling. We're going to be able to validate then, okay, after 12 months, we see that that giant tree in the front resulted in a lot of debris in the front, but there was no trees in the back, and therefore there was very little debris here, but you've got a little tree on that side, and there's some debris on that side because of that. You know, the point being that these aren't factual comments based on what you're seeing here, but those are good context clues that kind of indicate where debris is accumulating. But the homeowner really appreciates that we actually tried to validate and do our best to not give them some sales pitch that they should be doing this, 4 times a year, every year, or else their gutters are going to fall off. Like, we're not trying to fearmonger out here. We're trying to give them factual evidence as to what we see, our professional recommendation. The homeowner sees the genuine nature of us making that recommendation. So that's the rule of thumb I like to give. Clean again after 12 months. That's the best way to validate, okay, everything got thoroughly cleaned today. Let's clean again in 12 months. Then we can actually see where debris is accumulating. And then that's going to be the big indicator, or the best way for us to give a determination or a recommendation as to frequency. Okay, ma'am or sir, it looks like you have a lot of debris after 12 months, or it looks like there's very little debris. There's only debris in this area, or there was debris all over. And, obviously our recommendation as to frequency to maintain their gutters is going to be dependent on what we see. So that's the rule of thumb that I like to give. That's hopefully useful for the technicians that might be giving that recommendation at the end of the appointment, or the office people that might be giving that recommendation over the phone, or the canvassers that might be kind of describing that situation to the potential prospect that we could help. But hopefully that was some useful information.